Yo, what's up everybody? It's me, WDMichael, and in today's YouTube video, we're going to be going over the second episode of WD Learns VGC. Now, last week we went over a Toxtricity team that I built with a bunch of my buddies over my Twitch channel. And in that Toxtricity team, we had the normal terrestrialized BoomBurst mechanic that was just destroying everything in its path. It was a ton of fun to use, and if that's something that interests you, the link to that video will be down in the description below for you to use and check out. Now for this one, I wanted to do something a little bit differently. Over the weekend, there were a ton of tournaments ran in the community. From the Nino Poke Bros Tour to the Victory Road Return to Paldea, the Wide League VGC tournament, and other countless online and in-person events. Now the team over at the VGC PokePace that's ran by Evan has a ton of PokePace on there, and they had added a bunch of the teams from the tournaments over the weekend that were shaking up the meta. Now, if you are a returning player, first off, this is a fantastic resource to get VGC PokePace to utilize on the ranked ladder. It's an amazing resource, and I'll have a link to the VGC PokePace Twitter page down below in the description. But I was actually checking out some of the teams that were in some of these tournaments over the weekend. And there was one in particular that really stood out to me that I could not get out of my mind. There were some Pokemon that I hadn't really seen being used a lot. And there were some really cool synergies with these Pokemon that I felt really worked in this meta. And so I had to try it out. And for about 48 hours, I played this team, and I started off around rank 28,000 on the Master Ball tier. And by the end of it, I was under 1K. So the consistency of this team and the tools and weapons that it had to get wins were just so consistent, and it was just a ton of fun to run. So I reached back out to the creator and I said, hey, Firaja, this team is amazing, and I really love this team, and I would love to make a YouTube video going over this team and give you just a little bit more credit for this amazing team. And he was all for it. So in today's YouTube video, we're going to be checking out this sand team that was created by Firaja that I've been running on my Twitch stream. So let's get into the video and check out this team, yo. Welcome in everybody to the actual team. So this one was created by Firaja, and to give credit where it's due, there is a link down below to the actual Twitter post where he released the team and the rental code to the community. So if you want to check it out, make sure you go and show him some love, and if you use this team, let him know. I'm sure he'd love to hear it. Now, to go over this team and what's actually on this team and the tools, we're going to start right off with Lycanroc. Lycanroc was one of my favorite Pokemon on this team as I've been running it. And I felt like it was one of the most useful, if used right, to really help you win some of these teams and these matches that we were facing against. And I'll go over that because it was insane. With Lycanroc, first off, you have to think with its Sand Rush ability. Sand Rush is going to give this Pokemon doubled speed. It also, I mean, it's already at a massive 180 and we're doubling its speed. There's almost nothing that's going to outspeed this, and almost even in Tailwind, it is crazy fast. So with that, with you having this Pokemon, you have a super fast Rock Slide. You have close combats that can come out really fast, which are great. They're useful tools, and they've definitely helped a lot in some of my matches. Now, where it really gets spicy with this Lycanroc is the Endure and Endeavor. So Lycanroc has a really good just ability to get down to 1 HP. You've got this Focus Sash that'll help you, and you've also got Endure. If you can get Lycanroc down to 1 HP, you now have another tool that is just insane to use. And what that is, it is called Endeavor. Endeavor will actually put the target's HP to the user's HP. So if you have 1 HP on Lycanroc, you target your opposing Pokemon, that one now is also 1 HP. And with it being so fast, almost nothing outspeeds it to get rid of it. Obviously, there are things you have to look out for at 1 HP, from Sucker Punch to you know, any sort of other priority moves. You do have to watch out for them because they will knock you out. But if those aren't on the field, you have free moves to get your opposing Pokemon down to 1 HP. And now what works really cool with this team is when you do actually get those Pokemon down to 1 HP, you have this Tyranitar out on the field who automatically brings in the sand stream. So you have sand chip damage. So you have a Lycanroc who's immune to the sand, dropping Pokemon down to 1 HP, and then they just get chipped down from the sand. I've had that happen numerous games, and it's actually helped me win a ton of my matches on the ranked ladder. So the combination between Lycanroc and the T-Tar opening is probably one of my favorites, and is super strong and a great opening against a lot of the teams in the meta. Now, this team has a lot of weaknesses though. If you start off with Lycanroc and T-Tar, you're weak to your grass, you're weak to ground, and you're weak to fighting. And those are a lot of things that are really prevalent in the meta, but this team has a really great way of getting around that, because the Tyranitar's terrestrialization is flying. Now, a lot of those Pokemon or things that I just told you about either don't hit flying or aren't really all that effective in a flying. So now you take a Pokemon that you're basically baiting a lot of those moves out with, and you change them into a flying Pokemon. Now the Tyranitar is soaking up a lot of the damage. You're taking none of that damage. While also with Terra Blast, now we've actually got a stab flying move on the team, which is really cool because it helps you with a lot of those Pokemon like those Meowscarda and those Amoonguss that are in the meta right now, and it will delete them. I have, with Terra Blast flying T-Tar, you will almost certainly, unless there's a Focus Sash on that Meowscarda, one-shot it. It's also really good to Annihilate and a lot of other Pokemon. So I found T-Tar to be my true MVP of this team. I've used it a ton. I bring it in almost every one of the matchups. It is really strong in the meta right now, especially with the Flying Terra. Without the Flying Terra, honestly, it probably wouldn't be as strong. It's also got the Assault Vest, and then its coverage moves are also great. They've helped in a ton of our matches. You have Assurance, and so with this T-Tar, he's not the fastest Pokemon, which is totally fine because if you get hit, your Assurance is going to be doubled in damage, which does a lot, and especially those in DDs, those Arm Rouges. So you're getting a lot of really super effective damage into a lot of these Pokemon, and it works really well. Rock Slide is always another great move to pair with the Lycanroc. You have 2 chances for flinches and just overall spread damage. Terra Blast, like we said, when you turn into a flying Pokemon, gives you that flying stab attack, which does great things in this meta. And then the other one is Ice Punch, which is also another great move that helps a lot of these dragon Pokemon that we're seeing. Dragon, grass Pokemon, they're all going to end up taking super effective damage from this, and it just helps you get that really solid coverage that you need with the T-Tar. So T-Tar, Lycanroc, great opening. They are just a fantastic pair. I've loved using them. They work super well. Now, what I would say for these two in the middle is we'll come back to those because I feel like those are kind of pieces that we utilize when we need them. The Lycanroc and T-Tar are a super great combination. They usually want to go with each other. Now, the other combination we do have is the Dondozo and Tatsugiri. As a lot of us know, Dondozo is everywhere in the meta, and it is a super, super strong Pokemon. So having it on your team is just overall helping you. It's a great Pokemon. There are counters to it, so you do need to watch yourself when you're playing it so you don't get caught in a situation where you are now, the opponent has an upper hand on you. But if you play well and you understand what your counters are and you delete them with your T-Tar, your Lycanroc, you're going to give yourself a better chance to actually win the game. Now, with Dondozo and Tatsugiri, you have this end game just kind of powerhouse. And with these two, you have the Order Up, which is that nice dragon attack boosting. And you're going to get attack boost because this is the Tatsugiri that gives you the attack boost. So this is going to be the attack boosting Dondozo, which from my play on the ranked ladder, I felt has done a lot better. I've faced a lot of Dondozos, and for the most part, we're about a 90% win rate against other Dondozos. So I feel like this is a really good Dondozo set that a lot of people aren't running. We've seen the speed Dondozo, which to me doesn't really matter that much in a Dondozo versus Dondozo fight, because even if they're going first, my Dondozo is bulkier or it has more damage, I'm probably going to knock it out. A +6 Dondozo is better than a +6 speed Dondozo in my book and from testing it. So I feel like this is just a really strong Dondozo, and the fact that you've got that Earthquake, so you've got a single target move and you've also got Earthquake. You don't have a lot of coverage though, so you do need to watch out for those fairy Pokemon that are going to give you a little bit of a difficulty, especially if you have a fairy Pokemon with Wide Guard on the field. It's going to be really hard to hit anything with a Dondozo. Now, what I felt really makes this Dondozo really special is that when you're playing Dondozo, one of the things is just your opponents are either going to find a way to chip you down and get rid of you, find a way to poison you, sleep you, whatever ends up being. Somebody's going to try to do something to Dondozo to make it weaker and less effective. Rest and Sleep Talk take care of a lot of that. This just means that now I don't really have to worry about getting slept. If the Amoonguss sleeps me or spores me, I've got Sleep Talk. We've still got an out for it. Rest gives us a really good option to heal up our Pokemon, remove any status conditions like poisons that might be affecting us, and overall just kind of reset our Dondozo, which one can be super hard to kill. And if your opponent has already been spending a ton of time and resources knocking out your Dondozo and you return it back to full HP, it could be it takes a lot of wind out of your opponent's sail. Because then they got to do it all over again, and that whole time you're still chipping with Dondozo. So I feel like this bulky, attack heavy, and overall just relentless Dondozo has been really fun, and it's done a lot of work on the ranked ladder by itself. The Tatsugiri, of course, is the one that gives the attack boost when it's inside, does the commander boost. The moveset on this one is one thing that has been a little bit off for me. And the reason being is because every one of the moves has a chance to miss. So I'm always super concerned, like, are we gonna miss? So there's always that fact. There is not 100% move accuracy on this Tatsugiri set, which hasn't proved to be the worst thing yet. I haven't actually missed a move and then lost the game because of it, but again, this is VGC and everything's about luck. It'll happen at one point. So you've got Muddy Water, you've got Icy Wind, you've got Draco Meteor, all really good moves that help you cover a lot of what ended up happening if your Dondozo goes down, your Tatsugiri is left. He does have the option of really sniping out or taking out any of those last little remaining Pokemon. So definitely, if you feel like if you're down to your Tatsugiri, don't feel like you're out of the game, he can definitely still help you win it if you play it right. Your Draco Meteor is going to be your big massive, if you got to really KO to Pokemon, that's probably the move you're gonna be going with. It's generally got a stab with it, it's got a ton of damage, and it's got a bunch of special attack with it. The other ones are more situational. You've got Icy Wind, you can drop the speed. If there's somebody weak against ice, it can be really helpful. And then Muddy Water, obviously great stab. You got the chance for an accuracy drop. It's a great move and it works really well. So these two I found just been a really good combination. And my favorite combination as far as running this team has been to start off with the Tyranitar Lycanroc and then end out with the Dondozo and Tatsugiri. I found that if you lose your Lycanroc, which you generally will lose it first before your Tyranitar, if I lose the Lycanroc, I will bring in the Dondozo, and then on the next turn, swapping out the Tyranitar and bringing in the Tatsugiri and almost saving the Tyranitar for later. You do have to be careful with that though, because people will be expecting these swap-ins and they will plan accordingly, specifically with Murkrows and Hazes. They can be a huge counter to your end game. So my biggest thing is if you're playing with this team and you've got T-Tar and Lycanroc out, you really have to start prioritizing what Pokemon are going to affect your Dondozo and Tatsugiri and which Pokemon are not going to be an issue for it. And finding those Pokemon that are going to be an issue and deleting them. Those are your issues. You got to get rid of them. And if you do, your Dondozo has a free ride to sweep the game for you later on. Now, with the other two Pokemon that are on the team that I don't feel like really are necessarily a combination, they go with each other, but they're on the team for coverage and they serve a purpose. And so we'll go over with them. So with the Rotom Heat has coverage that we need. There is almost no fire coverage on this team. A grass Pokemon would come in here and do a ton of damage to our team. So with the just respect of just having some coverage, Rotom does a lot of that. One, it's got the levitate ability, so it's not going to take any ground damage, which our Lycanroc and Tyranitar already are super effective against. So it does help you with that. It also has Overheat, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, so it's got some good options for coverage. It can swap itself out with Volt Switch. The last one is a little bit of a nice little just kind of extra. It's a little surprise attack. And that comes in with the trick. So what you can do with this Rotom is actually trick your choice specs, put them on your opposing Pokemon, and this will actually lock them into whatever move they're using. So if you are in an opportunity where your opponent has done a move that you want to lock them into, your Rotom can help you out with that. And again, that can help you win a game. If you lock the right Pokemon into a move that it can't use, that's a huge move. So that's been very helpful at covering it. With Rotom, I've only really brought them when I really need it, and there's Pokemon in their team that I really need to delete. Pokemon like King Gambit, Goldango, Amoonguss, they're all really, they don't like Rotom, so when you see them, sometimes it's nice to bring the Rotom and help you out with some of that coverage. Now, with our Annihilate, the Annihilate is a little bit different. I've seen on the meta, or at least in the ranked ladder, a lot of the Annihilates that I've been seeing are the Drain Punch kind of leftovers, recovery Annihilates. Because they want to take a little bit of damage, recover, take a little damage, recover, because they want their, I can't even think of the name right now, their Rage Fists to do more damage. Rage Fist does more damage for each time your Pokemon takes damage. And so that's kind of been what we've seen on the meta right now. This one's a little bit differently. For the team that we're running, this is more or less a delete Pokemon. If we see a Pokemon or at the end of the game and there's just one Pokemon on the other side of the field, and we need to hurry up quickly, just remove it. It's kind of one of those Pokemon, it's a cleanup crew. Or if it's at the beginning of the game, you can utilize it to final gambit something that, like you said, is going to be an issue for your other Pokemon on the team. Meowscarda, another Dondozo maybe you don't want to fight. So it's really good at just kind of piecing out different Pokemon and deleting them to help you really target out and make sure you're doing what you need to with the team. So the Anipe is great, man. It's been a fun Pokemon to use. Again, it's another one of those Pokemon like the Rotom that I'm only bringing when I really feel like I need it. And the reason being is because a lot of the time when I'm bringing the T-Tar, the Lycanroc, Dondozo, and Tatsugiri, I know how strong that combination is, and I'm asking myself, why am I not bringing this? So you really, like, it's just figuring out what the opponent has and deciding what's going to be the best. But T-Char, Lycanroc go together, Dondozo, Tatsugiri go together, and again, just piece together with whatever fits best. Yeah, it's been super consistent on the ranked ladder. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's got a lot of trickery, and that really helps out with the ranked ladder. When they're opposing people don't know what you're going to do, you've already got the upper hand. And so that's, I feel like, what a lot of this team ends up having. The rest, Dondozo, the Endeavor, Lycanroc, you've got two kind of like tricky little things that people aren't really ready for. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, if you're curious about this team, make sure you check out the link down below, because you can go to the Twitter page and get the actual rental code from the creator of the team. And again, thank you all so much for coming out to my YouTube video. I hope that you were able to learn something from this from this team. And if you end up using it, let us know, let me know, and I'll actually relay the information to the creator. But I guess the final thing is there a team that you've created that you would like me to go over on my YouTube series? Because if there is, send me a message, post it up in the comments. Whatever it is, get my attention, because I would love to see some of the teams from the community and go over them on my YouTube series. So again, thank you all so much for coming out. If you like these kind of videos, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and that notification bell so you get notified when I drop more videos just like this one. Again, I hope you have a good day. Enjoy Paldea. Peace.